This is a total recap of Umbrella Academy Seasons 1, 2, and 3, giving you everything you need to know before watching the fourth and final season. In 1989, 43 women from around the world give birth at the same time despite showing no signs of having been pregnant prior. 7 of those children were adopted by billionaire Sir Reginald Hargreaves. He assigned each of the children with a number, and the Umbrella Academy was born. Number 1, Luther. He's got super strength. Number 2, Diego. He's a naturally skilled marksman.
Real men throw knives.
Who we later find out can even control bullets. Number 3, Allison. She can control people by whispering, "I heard a rumor," in their ear, followed by a command.
I heard that you shot your friend.
Number 4, Klaus. He can communicate with the dead. Number 5, no other name, just number 5, he can teleport through time and space. Number 6, Ben, he can summon monsters from other dimensions. And number 7, Victor, who was formerly known as Vanya before coming out as trans in Season 3, once believed to have no powers but later revealed to be the most powerful of them all.
I said go!
Now, quick disclaimer, we're doing a recap, which means we're retelling the events of the series, so at the beginning I'm going to be referring to the character of Victor as Vanya, and then once we reach the point in the story when that character comes out as trans and starts going by Victor, we'll of course switch to referring to him as Victor.
I'm woke.
The Umbrella Academy was once a team of child superheroes, but in present day, the team is no more. Luther is living on the moon, Diego is a vigilante, Allison has become a Hollywood star, Klaus is a drug addict. Drugs are the only thing that can keep the voices of the dead from bothering him all the time, but with this power, he is also able to communicate with their brother Ben, who died in combat years ago.
I've got a crazy idea. Why not try starting your day with a glass of orange juice or some eggs? Kids smoke eggs.
Number 5 disappeared when they were children and hasn't been seen since. More on that in just a bit. And Victor, who goes by Vanya at this point, is a violinist. Now, all these years later, the Umbrella Academy has been brought back together following the mysterious death of their father. Luther seems to be the only one who still has any respect for their father, while the rest of them hate him because, well, he was a terrible father.
He was a monster. He was a bad person and a worse father.
So the kids were really raised by their robot mom and their genetically enhanced chimpanzee, Pogo.
I hope you know, your father loved you very much. In his own way.
Side note, Luther and Allison have always kind of had a thing for each other, but it's kind of weird because they were raised together like siblings.
Brother,
Now, numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 7 are together at the old house to spread their father's ashes, and later that night, boom, a portal opens, and out comes number 5, who is still in his teenage body, the same way he looked when he left. You see, 5 ran away from home many years ago while he attempted to learn how to travel through time, and he got stuck in an apocalyptic future for like 40 years.
Where'd you go?
The future. That's by the way.
So really, number 5 is older than all of his siblings when it comes to years lived. 5 was originally saved from this apocalyptic future by a woman from the Temps Commission called the Handler. The Commission is essentially like the MCU's Time Variance Authority from Loki and Deadpool and Wolverine. They use these time machines disguised as briefcases to travel through time and maintain the proper flow of time, managing things like apocalypses. Anyway, the Handler recruits an elderly 5 to become a time-traveling assassin that helps maintain the flow of time.
Sometimes people make choices that alter time. When that happens, we dispatch one of our agents to eliminate the threat. You're not a target. You're a recruit.
5 eventually figures out how to return home, but it takes him back in time and reverses his physical age back to 13.
At the end, I had to project my consciousness forward into a suspended quantum state version of myself that exists across every possible instance of time.
5 is landed back in time, determined to stop this apocalyptic future from ever happening, and the only clue he has is this eyeball.
Need to know who this belongs to.
5 is being pursued by these time-traveling assassins from the Commission.
Is there anything that you might be able to tell us about the night that this place got shot up?
Do you remember the boy from that night?
Klaus comes into possession of a time-traveling briefcase, and he accidentally winds up smack dab in the middle of the Vietnam War. While there, he falls in love with a man named Dave, and Dave dies in combat, and Klaus then blips back the following morning, having seemingly only been gone for one day, but for him, it's actually been a year. Next, we learn that their father actually killed himself with the help of Mom and Pogo because he knew the apocalypse was coming, and he believed his death to be the only way to bring the Umbrella Academy back together to save the world.
I knew that I had to bring you all back together one way or another.
Meanwhile, Five has taken down the Temps Commission and has the name of the man who caused the apocalypse. And it's Vanya's new boyfriend.
Harold Jenkins is Leonard Peabody.
Meanwhile, Vanya, who has felt left out of this sibling reunion to save the world, has begun to realize that she really does have superpowers, and that their father had used medication to suppress that power because he deemed the power too dangerous.
You need to remain in a controlled environment. More research is required to determine whether your behavior can be regulated.
So Vanya has begun to master her new powers, and she is confronted by Allison. It's then revealed that their father made Allison use her powers to convince Vanya that she was ordinary when they were just children.
I heard a rumor. You think you're just ordinary.
Vanya becomes enraged, and Allison attempts to use her powers once again to shut Vanya down, but in a fit of rage, Vanya slices her throat and immediately regrets it. Allison, however, does survive, but she won't be able to speak for quite a while. Vanya realizes that her boyfriend has been manipulating her. He shows his true colors, and Vanya kills him in response. She then returns home to apologize for what she's done, but Luther locks her away. This pushes Vanya over the edge, and she goes full supervillain, breaks out, and in the process, kills Pogo. The Umbrella Academy then reforms, including their dead brother Ben, who Klaus has learned to physically project into the living realm. They try to stop Vanya and succeed, or so they thought. When they brought down Vanya, her energy blast shot into the air and hit the moon, and now it is coming crashing down on old planet Earth. The apocalypse has arrived.
So this is it, so much for saving the world.
The Umbrella Academy join hands, and Five uses his powers to teleport all of them back in time for another shot at stopping the apocalypse. The Umbrella Academy is somewhat scattered through time between the years 1960 and 1963. Five lands in Dallas, Texas, November 25th, 1963. That's one day after the assassination of JFK. There, Five witnesses another apocalypse where Soviet troops have invaded the United States and nuclear war breaks out. Five escapes from this nuclear holocaust just seconds from being killed.
There's no time to explain. Those are nukes, old-timer.
Hazel, one of the redeemed timed assassins from season 1, saves Five and warns him that he now has 10 days to stop this apocalypse from happening. Meanwhile, the other members of the team have somewhat adapted to their new lives back in time. Luther is working as a bodyguard for Jack Ruby, that's the nightclub owner who killed Lee Harvey Oswald, that's the guy who killed JFK.
The Jack Ruby, the gangster who shot Oswald.
Diego has been committed to a mental hospital after trying to stop the assassination of JFK.
Dallas law enforcement has not been supportive of my attempt to stop the assassination of John F. Kennedy.
Diego has also befriended a woman named Lila, but more on her in a bit. Allison has married a civil rights activist.
You're gonna love this. And I quote, as the president said earlier this year, the rights of every man are diminished
when the rights of one man or woman are threatened.
Klaus has started a cult. And Vanya has amnesia following the events of the season 1 finale. Vanya is then taken in by a farmer called Sissy, and the two grow very close.
Could you ever imagine being that elegant?
You're plenty elegant.
Sissy also has a mean old husband and a son named Harlan. Meanwhile, the commission is back up and running, and the handler has returned. She's using Lila, who is revealed to be her adoptive daughter, to infiltrate and keep an eye on the Umbrella Academy. Lila also has powers of her own, the ability to mimic. The handler also employs a new team of assassins called the Swedes to track down and exterminate the Umbrella Academy. The Umbrella Academy encounters their father in the past, who we learn isn't even human, he's an alien. Now, as I mentioned a moment ago, JFK's assassination is at the forefront of this season, and his death is believed to be connected to the new apocalypse. But it turns out once again that it's all connected to Vanya's powers. Vanya regains her memory, and with that, her unstable power, and she accidentally transfers some of that power to Sissy's son Harlan, who can't control the power just like Vanya couldn't.
Listen to my voice! I know you don't want to hurt anyone!
The siblings once again come together to stop the apocalypse. The Umbrella Academy team up and take on this army of commission assassins. Lila learns the truth about how the Handler killed her parents, but then the Handler busts in and shoots them all dead. Five, however, travels back in time and stops the Handler, and then instead the Handler is shot dead.
Maybe your appetite is disproportionate to the size of your abilities. Start small. Seconds, not decades.
The Umbrella Academy have once again stopped the apocalypse and rewritten the timeline so that the other apocalypse never happens either. The Umbrella Academy return home to the year 2019, but they now exist in an altered timeline, a different future. A timeline where the Umbrella Academy doesn't exist. Instead, we have the Sparrow Academy.
This is the Umbrella Academy.
Wrong again. This is the Sparrow Academy.
And the Sparrow Academy has a very alive Ben.
Dad, who the hell are these assholes?
The Sparrow Academy also consists of Marcus, the new number 1. He has super strength, similar to Luther. Of course, the aforementioned Ben is now number 2. Number 3, Faye, she can control ravens. Number 4, Alfonso, he can reflect any damage inflicted on him back to his attacker. Number 5, Sloane, she can manipulate gravity. Number 6, Jamie, she can spit toxins that cause you to hallucinate.
What are you doing? Protecting our honor, bro.
And number 7, Christopher, who is a telekinetic floating cube. These changes to the timeline have caused a paradox that creates a black hole called the Kugelblitz, and this entity begins to consume the very fabric of reality. The Umbrella Academy is struggling to adapt to this new reality, and we get a major shift for the character formerly known as Vanya, who has embraced his true identity and now goes by Victor.
Who's Victor?
I am. It's who I've always been.
Cool.
Truly happy for you, Victor.
Luther, meanwhile, has fallen for Sloane, and tensions begin to brew between the two academies. Allison, on the other hand, is still reeling from the loss of her daughter, who now no longer exists in this new future. The children soon discover that their father is manipulating all of them and is working to reset the entire universe and create what he views as a perfect universe. The Sparrows and the Umbrella Academy team up and confront their father. Allison, however, makes a deal to help her father in exchange for getting her daughter back, but in the end, she betrays him. Allison then uses the reality-setting machine to reset the timeline. After the reset, the Umbrella Academy finds themselves in a new reality, but they no longer have their superpowers.
Kazam ghosties.
The Academy then disperse into their new reality. And that was a total recap of the Umbrella Academy series thus far, as we prepare to go into the 4th and final season. I've been your host, Colton Ogburn, and I'll see you on the next Total Recap.
What about the guy you lobotomized? Did he get a refund? I have to hand it to you. It's the best mindfuck yet.